First of all, it's a shock when somebody says, hey, you got a real problem in your mouth, run to an ENT. The ENT gets nervous and sends me off to Birmingham to the surgeon. And they do it so fast and furious that they forgot to tell the surgeon that, he's coming up here, you got to look at him, blah, blah, blah. The problem with that is the surgeon hadn't seen any of the records or what's going on. So he tells you that, if you're that, obviously he walks literally out of surgery in his scrubs to see me. And everybody's jumping around, and I'm going, I think we jumped over too many hoops here without people doing, their job. And he says, well, let me tell you before he's a very busy guy, obviously, under surgery. So he says, first of all, you probably will lose your voice. Second of all, you'll probably lose half of your face. And oh, by the way, the third thing is, you will need a helmet on as you bounce around the room. So I said, Doc, you don't have to go any further. That's far enough. It's been nice seeing you. I'm going home. And he says, oh, all right, wait a minute. That's what happens to the very severe in this case. It's that bad. So he definitely got my attention immediately. So I was all resigned to go home, make out my last will and testament, and move on to life. But he calls back and says, okay, look, we got your files in, and we can do the chemo and the radiation. The only problem with that is I told him I wasn't about to drive to Birmingham every day for 6 weeks for, basically an 8 to 12 minute treatment. And he said, well, hey, do you know anything about the Cancer Center in Montgomery? I said, not a thing. And he said, well, you get an appointment out there? I said, no, I don't know anybody out there. You get me the appointment. So the head of this in Birmingham selected my 2 doctors here in town. It starts out interesting because I've heard many times, and all of us have, about the Cancer Center in Houston, a number of other places around the United States. So here I'm going to go out in Montgomery so I can work. During my time that I was doing the 6 weeks of both chemo and radiation, I only missed 1 day of work because they did 2 on 1 day one time for me. But anyway, my point was the doctors he selected were superb. I asked one of them, especially both of the doctors that I talked to were really neat, nice guys that I knew. So that worked out just fine. I think the biggest problem for people that I've advised that have had what I had, and that's what cancer of the tonsils, believe it or not. Many in our generation did not have their tonsils taken out unless something was wrong. Well, it sort of bit me. I mean, I don't think most people understood how difficult it would be on your body, how difficult it would be on everything. What I mean by that is the first few radiation treatments aren't that bad. On the other hand, eventually what happens is that you can't eat anything. So you lose, like I lost 35 or 40 pounds. I used to be a big man, like you. I'm a little weenie now. So you look at that and say, wow, that's not that bad. Well, the problem that I didn't like about it was the after effects of radiation, because there's a string of things. Once you do this, you have the lovely habit of waking up at night. About every hour, you can only sleep for an hour or 2 once you get into it and almost over, because they've burnt up your mouth so bad that I call it phlegm, you'd call it something else, comes up in the middle of the night. So it wakes you up because you're starting to choke, to be honest with you. So you end up going to bed with a can of something to spit into in the middle of the night, because all of a sudden you have all this goop in your mouth. The problem is that most of the people that I've dealt with didn't tell you the ramifications of anything. And the ramifications are the gums in my mouth were shrunk. All of a sudden I'm now getting decay in my teeth that I never knew about. When I came down here today, which is, as I said, 2 years ago, we went through this. Whenever I brush my teeth, like this morning, it still hurts. Yes, I had the caps taken off in part of my mouth because when you sink the gum, basically, your tooth gets decay. And that's probably not the hard one. The hard ones were, they put a hole in my tongue, all right? They have to put a hole in your jaw to get all the cancer out of it. So you got 2 holes there. But then, you think you're getting better and you're getting stronger and you finally get to eat sometime, but it has taken me literally 2 years. I cannot have even one. I've gotten up to 1 beer is the most I can have, and then I don't even want it. No alcohol at all. If I take any mouthwash, I go through the roof. I went to a retirement party here in Montgomery for an old head of the state police, and they had wine. I said, I'll try that after 1.5 years. You know, a little, just give me a little bit. So I took a little bit, and my head went through the roof of the hotel. I mean, it hurt that bad. So it's still there. It's progressing, but it's unbelievably slow. Everything, everything from knee replacements that I've had to being busted up in sports or anything else, or a tractor that fell on me one time, that seems nominal and really sort of easy to get through after you do your whatever to get through that problem compared to this. Cancer is slow. The cure for the mouth cancer is tough. It's tough. But that's sort of my story. I mean, the thing is first of all, you have to catch it early. If you don't catch it early, you just wave goodbye to everybody, okay? And that's where, to me, the dental checkup every 6 months makes a lot of sense. Because if you think about it, I just had my physical last week here in town. Those doctors don't check my mouth at all, obviously. So you have a problem there because, if I'm healthy as a horse in every regard, but all of a sudden I got tonsils or something else in there, the experience of not being able to eat or anything taste good is really slow coming back. But that's not the painful part. The painful part is that tongue with a hole in it. It is that jawbone, if you can imagine a jawbone that won't heal, that bone is showing. So anytime anything touches that thing, you freak out. And so I think, getting to get the people of Alabama to understand that, maybe they're a big jock at one of the university or a college president or whatever they are, to get them to understand that their physical has nothing to do with their mouth is a step that we had never even thought about before. But that to me is critically important because of, the ramifications of what the very first surgeon told me. You don't want to be in the position, you just don't want to be in the position of losing half of your face. It's over. You don't want to be in the position of, okay, you took my voice away. And that's what happens if it gets so far.